I'm confident in what I do. I'm confident in my skills. And at the same time, I want to be able to fail. Because when I fail, I get better.
LA Knight, an overnight success. How funny was it hearing that?
It was, but it wasn't. It was 20 years to get the overnight success.
This is the best thing about you. You find a way to get it over.
One of those first lessons is owning the room, owning the moment.
Can the crowd reactions get louder?
I don't know. At this point, it's like it's just been growing and growing.
You still haven't won a championship in WWE.
Yeah. It seems past due in some regards. Anybody would love to be a U.S. champion, an Intercontinental champion, the world champion. I want to be the guy.
Thank you for making the time to do this.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be off today. It's supposed to be the beginning of vacation.
I'll make this feel like the least amount of work possible.
Let me not lie. At the beginning, I get like 4 days off. So.
Yeah, that's a huge vacation in WWE land.
After 5 days in a row on the road. I haven't been in my own bed in 3 weeks, I think, at this point.
So you're back tomorrow?
No, 2 days. I'll finally get to go home and be in my own bed.
Okay.
That'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I'm going to crack open an F3 Energy here. F3 Energy, everybody.
They're fantastic.
Yeah. I'm gonna give my first taste test right here.
Okay. Wow.
As we go.
This is the original flavor.
Oh.
Stop it.
Stop it. Yeah, it's actually pretty good.
Dude, what a year you've had. What a year.
It's been something. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it's been something. From low expectations came, well, not from me. I had great expectations from the start, but I don't think that there were great expectations put upon me, at least, coming out of the beginning of the year anyway. So
where did this change?
I can't put a finger on that, but I think, God, I don't want to give you all too much credit, but I think the people did it in a lot of ways. Look, at the end of the day, I did it. If I'm not doing my thing, then the people can't get behind me, right? So look, you get a little bit of credit, but let's just leave the credit where it's supposed to be. But yeah, once I made the people demand me, and as cliche as it sounds, became undeniable. There was a point in time where it's like, all right, well, we got to do this. And then there's a time where it's like, all right, well, let's see if he's really got it. Let's see if he can really do it. Sink or swim. Here we go.
But it was like, it just kept getting louder every single week. And it's like, you got to a point where it's like, can the crowd reactions get louder? That music hits. Oh my gosh, it's louder than last week.
Yeah. And I think every week I'm always looking at like, oh man, it's going to slide off at some point. And you know what? When it does, I'm just going to roll with it, and I'm going to get even better from that point. Because at that point, then you're all getting jabbed. But no, I don't know. At this point, it's like it's just been growing and growing. And I remember the very first time, I think we talked about it last time. It was in DC in March. And from there, it was like, oh, okay. Now we're starting to get somewhere. And then it was like more and more. And that wasn't necessarily the reaction I was looking for, because especially coming out of the Bray Wyatt thing, it's like, all right, let me keep getting heat. Let me keep getting heat. But then it was like they put me out there with guys who were supposed to be, who were big baby faces, who were getting big reactions and stuff like that. But then there was just something about me coming out there where it was like, I can't put a name to what they were seeing or thinking or anything like that, but there was something there where they were just like, all right, we want this guy, we want this. And
the last time we talked was before Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
You didn't even have a Yeah t-shirt yet. I was like, it'd be a really good idea. A Yeah t-shirt. And you're like, it's in the works. It's in the works.
It's a process, getting all that stuff done. Cause I have ideas for things, and it's like, so, you might try and run it through somebody. Oh, okay, well, yeah, we might do that. And I think there was also just skepticism at first. Like, is this really a thing? Is this just, is this just going to be a flash in the pan? Is this just going to be, flavor of the month? And that was kind of even a thing that we had talked about and was even talked about with me. It was like, well, we don't want to give it to them too soon, because then, they might get over it. And it's like, look, fine. If that's the case and I'm not good enough to carry that, cool, let's go with that. But I understand the idea of also wanting to protect me at some point as well. But like I have the belief in myself that I can pivot and move and adapt to whatever the situation is. So if the thought is, well, if we give it to him too soon, you don't want to give it to him too soon. But if you just try and not give it to him at all, come on, man. Like I feel like I'm better than that. And I don't mean that in like a boisterous way, but just I'm confident in what I do. I'm confident in my skills. And at the same time, I want to be able to fail, because when I fail, I get better.
I don't know if you failed at all at any point this year.
Well, maybe not this year. And I probably have, and who knows, but I've failed a million times on the way here, but this year has been crazy.
How funny was it hearing the, oh man, LA Knight, an overnight success. How funny was it hearing that?
Yeah. But it was. I mean,
No,
damn,
it wasn't.
Well, yeah, but it was, but it wasn't. I mean, it was 20 years, and then all of a sudden, it was an overnight success. So, like, I mean,
so it was a 20-year overnight success.
Yeah, it was 20 years to get the overnight success, basically, because it's like all of a sudden, you've got anywhere I've been, any other company had a fraction of the audience that we have now. So to any of the uninitiated, most of them are seeing me for the first time. So in a certain way, it is an overnight success to the broader audience.
The gift, though, that gets shared of you the most is your promo, Dave Marquez, the Shoes of the Champion. Yeah. Like that gif of you. Yeah.
I just tip him back a little champagne. No big deal.
So even if nobody saw NWA, they're aware that you were a thing.
Well, yeah, because... Okay, so apparently I've been married twice this year as well.
Hey, congratulations.
And yeah, thank you. Even though I'm not married, it's a weird thing that once you start to climb and people start to notice you, now they start just looking for things. Now all of a sudden people are more aware of the NWA stuff, or maybe even some more of the Impact stuff, where it's like, oh wait, I want to know more about this guy, and then they go start looking for that stuff, and that's where the weird articles come up about like, well, does LA Knight have a sister? Does he have a brother? He keeps his family life very secret, and stuff like that. And then it turns out that I got married over a weekend, which was amazing that I got married that weekend, because as far as I knew, I was wrestling in the ring all that damn weekend. But somehow I found time to get married.
Wikipedia thinks your birthday is November 11th.
I corrected that like probably 10 years ago, and somehow it got changed again, because even when I did the Key to the City thing a couple weeks ago in my hometown in Hagerstown, they even had my birthday list as November 11th when they put the press release. I said, no, you got to change that. It's November 1st.
It will be. I will guarantee you, within hours of this episode being put up, it will be changed, and then some idiot will go in and change it back, and then someone else will change it.
Well, the cool thing is I get 2 birthdays, essentially, at least on social media, because then I get a bunch of birthday wishes on the 1st. I get a couple scragglers on the 11th, and then it's like, oh, it's my birthday again.
We'll get back to the conversation in just a second, but I'm going to assume we have a lot in common here. Not only do we like pro wrestling and great conversations about pro wrestling, but I bet that you like saving $1 or $2 or $10. Because I know I do. So I started using Rocket Money recently, and they let me know that both my wife and I were both subscribed to the same service. We were obviously only logged in on one, but we were paying for both. Not anymore. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps to lower your bills. They'll even try to get you a refund for the last couple months of wasted money and negotiate to lower your bills for you by up to 20%. All you have to do is take a picture of your bill, and then Rocket Money takes care of the rest. Rocket Money has over 5 million users, myself included, and they save you on average $750 a year, which tallies up to $500 million in canceled subscriptions. Stop wasting money on things you don't use and cancel your unwanted subscriptions today by going to rocketmoney.com/CVV. That's rocketmoney.com/CVV. Did you get to a point in 2022 where you thought that your wrestling career was done, your in-ring career was done?
Yeah. I was like, all right, well, this is, the problem is you look around the wrestling landscape, and I even think to my past, and I'm like, man, I had so much freedom to kind of be me and do my thing, and now I'm doing this damn whatever this stupid model thing is. I don't know who this is or what this is, but all right, well, I got a nice raise out of it, so at least I'll try and make this thing work. And so I'm sitting there and I'm trying to do it, and all praise to Mason Mansour, because I mean I even heard them kind of sharing the stories about how Vince was just. It was really weird, because it was like, I was told not to talk anything like I did, nothing. Like, don't say any of the things you said. Don't talk any of the way you did. And I'm like, okay. I mean, what brought me to the dance is getting completely stripped from me. But all right. At the same time, I kind of looked at it as a challenge. I'm like, I'm frustrated by it, but I'm also kind of like, okay, well, let's see how we can do this. And then, I mean, in short order, it was just like, this is crazy. And then he and I were kind of, it's not like we were butting heads necessarily, but it was just like, he had a vision for this thing that put such a microscope on it. And I didn't know what the hell it was, but I was trying to figure it out. And it just was not going well. And I was very unhappy, and I'm sure he probably was. And then at some point, it was just like, all of a sudden, I'm not on TV. And I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure I'm fired. I'm pretty sure this whole ride's over. And at that point, I'm kind of looking at other options and what I can do and where I can go to kind of, just keep my whole thing rolling. And lo and behold, circumstances prevailed that kind of put me in the right spot where I could at least come back in a wrestling capacity, do my thing. And again, like I said, I don't think there were great expectations thrust upon me. It was just, hey, here's a guy who can handle himself. He's a professional. He knows how to do his thing in the ring, and we can work him with some guys who can, he can have some good programs. Well, surprise, surprise, all in your eyes, because things just got a little crazy after that.
You still got it over. This is the best thing about you, whether you're Eli Drake, whether you're Max Dupri, or whether you're LA Knight.
Man, I don't want to hear that name ever again. Yeah, go ahead.
You find a way to get it over.
I can't say that for Max. I didn't have a long enough time to do that.
I don't know. There's nobody that would. If you're a wrestling fan, it's Max Dupri because you made that work.
God. Yeah.
You love Max.
Such
Dupri.
trash.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe. A lot of it is one of those first lessons is act like you belong. Kind of like just kind of owning the room, owning the moment, and kind of just being bigger than, I guess, anybody that's in there. When I'm walking into that arena, I'm a god, and I don't not as me,
yes,
but like in that character. When I'm walking in that thing, it's like that's the only trait, the only persona, the only thought that I can take on is like there's nervousness before I come through the curtain. If you don't have that, you're not alive. I guarantee you everybody gets those jitters where it's like, all right, I got to go out. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this thing. And then once you break that curtain and you are out there, my God, all of a sudden you have to embrace that, like, this is my arena. This is my ring. This is my world right now. And you're all living in it. And there's really no other way to approach that if you really want to own that moment and own what you're doing. And so I think that kind of helps present those things or to get those things over in some way.
Do you have a highlight from 2023 for you?
God, I got a lot. There's so many personal ones. And some of, that first night in DC, because that was kind of special because it kind of kicked things off a little bit.
And if people don't know what we're talking about, Sheamus and Drew are in the ring. Your music hits.
Yep. And all of a sudden there was a big unexpected pop where I'm just like, okay, that's different. Because I came out of the Bray Wyatt thing, getting booed everywhere I went. And then all of a sudden it was like I had nothing and I'm just floundering. I'm not doing anything. I'm just kind of floating in the ether. And I'm just talking about WrestleMania or whatever. And then all of a sudden it was like, now there was something maybe possibly to chew on because now there's this possibility of an Intercontinental Championship match. And so I don't know if that's what got people interested, but all of a sudden now it's like, and then I'm like, all right, well, I grew up an hour up the road. So maybe that's what it is because we were in Washington, D.C. at the time.
Yeah.
Well, then we went to Pittsburgh, and then we went to New York, and then we went to blah, 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 and here, and here, and here, and here. And it just continued to go. And then when you go over to Saudi Arabia, and I'm not even on the show for Night of Champions, and they're chanting at Triple H, that's a huge moment. And I didn't even know that was happening. I'm in my hotel room in Saudi Arabia. I was just over there to do press, and all of a sudden I'm getting tagged on everything, and I look it up, and I'm like, oh, wow, okay, that's different. So, things like that. And then you look at just the whole build up to Money in the Bank, trashing Logan Paul.
I feel like that story's not done.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, you never know. I can say that. Never say never is what they say, right?
That's it. Yeah.
The Slim Jim Battle Royal. Even now, doing the Slim Jim sponsorship. I'm on the commercial with Randy Savage. I've got a whole campaign going with that. We've done 2 commercials already. I think there's another 1 or 2 coming out next year. So yeah, I mean, there's a whole hell of a lot of highlights. Crown Jewel. Almost winning WWE Championship right there. I mean, within a short and curly of doing it.
There's a moment when you're in the Money in the Bank match, when you're climbing the ladder, and everybody in that arena and everybody watching at home is going,
it got to a feverish pitch.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
And then it was taken away.
And then, yeah. Story of my career.
But it really felt like in that moment, like, this is our guy. It's happening. The thing we want to happen is happening.
Yeah. And it's funny because I just joked story of my career, but at the same time, it's like I hesitate to say this stuff because I feel like it sounds like I'm like being self-congratulatory, but like I can't help but state the facts that like I willed this shit into existence. Like I couldn't stop. I couldn't just be like, well, I'm just here. I'm just going to be happy with that, and that's cool. Like I wrote an email to one of the writers when I very first came back as LA Knight, and I just said, hey, look, I said, I'd like to do this and this and this, and I said, at some point, I'm going to ask for the ball. And he was like, probably just was kind of, brushing me off. I don't know. I can't speak for him, but I'm sure at the time was probably just like, his response was like, I appreciate the ambition. And it was kind of that. And I'm sure at the same time, he's just thinking like, oh, this guy, whatever. But I meant that. And I meant that in the realest possible way to where like, I want the damn ball and I'm going to make that happen. And so as many times I've been told no, as many times as maybe I've shot myself in my own foot or I've slipped on a banana peel or whatever it is, I need to will this thing into existence. And so far, 2023 has been a hell of a climb in making that happen. And so my goal is to just continue on in 2024, 2025, and who knows from there. And people want to look at the age number, but my God, I'm in some damn good shape.
You are in great shape.
I'm not wearing any braces. I'm not beat up, and we're going to keep it that way. It's
amazing when you look at the success you had in 2023. You still haven't won a championship in WWE.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the $1 Million Championship, but you still haven't won a championship in WWE.
Yeah.
And it just feels like that seems to be something that should be happening maybe this year.
I mean, it seems past due, I guess, in some regards. Some others would say, oh, he doesn't need it. But for me, I think I do need it. And I think the reason I need it is because it's the recognition that the company is saying, and not even that the company's saying, it's that I have gotten to a level where I have proven that I am beyond worthy. I've proven that I deserve it, and I've proven that I've earned it.
Now, is this a championship, or are you talking about the championship?
Any of them, in all honesty. But I mean, I'm looking at the top spot. Look. Anybody would love to be a tag team champion, a U.S. champion, an intercontinental champion, the world champion, any of that. I want to be the guy. So whether that means I need to win, an intercontinental championship or a U.S. championship on the way, I'm about that. I look at the guys who've come before me, and they've used the Intercontinental Championship or the U.S. title or something like that as their way to the top.
Yeah.
And I've been able to springboard straight to the top, just falling just barely short. But if it comes down to it, let me use that leverage of an Intercontinental or a U.S. title.
This episode is brought to you by my favorite warm beverage. This episode is brought to you by Mudwater. Mudwater is a coffee alternative with 4 adaptogenic mushrooms and only a fraction of the caffeine that you'd find in a cup of coffee. So you get all of the energy, but without the jitters and without the crash that you have with coffee. So what the heck is in this stuff, CVV? Well, there's the ingredients right on the side of the tin. And this is something that I drink every single day. It's funny when we have people over and we'll be like, would you like coffee or tea or Mudwater? they 100% of the time go, mud water? I want to try that. Mud water is something that I drink every single day. I love the taste of this. And I gotta admit, before I was drinking mud water, I had a bit of a pre-workout habit. Like I was drinking pre-workout like it was like my caffeine source. So you can just imagine how awesome those interviews were, brother. The interviews now are just as awesome, brother, but without the that you'd have with the other sources of caffeine. Go to mudwater.com/CVV to give Mudwater a try, and you'll get 15% off when you use the code CVV at checkout. That's mudwater.com/CVV. Who informed you that you had the highest selling merch month after month after month? But the first month you had it, who informed you of that?
So we were at Money in the Bank, and I was told that my t-shirt was highest selling t-shirt over the weekend. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then I think we got to maybe a couple days later, and they were like, I think you're number 4 this month. Or maybe that was the month before. I can't remember. But at some point then, I think the report came out somewhere online. WrestleNomics or somebody does it. And then I think August or September, I think I signed an agent. And now he lets me know every month. So I mean, we're on top of that stuff. He's like, all right, well, you're doing real well. It's you and Cody up here, and it's you and Punk and this. And I'm like, cool. Well, let's get these things rolling.
It's you with a lot less pieces of merchandise too.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's so much less. I mean, especially if you're looking back at even like the first month. I don't know if it was July or August, where it was the first month where I was top. I think I had like 3 things on there, and those guys each had like Roman and Cody were behind me, and they had like hundreds of items. I had maybe 3. So between all that, that's crazy.
Yeah.
To think that you could be the number 1 spot with only a few things. And but then at that point, that's when like, all right, let's start pumping out some more shirts and all this other stuff. I'm like, oh, good. Thank you.
You could have 17 shirts with the word on it, and all 17 would sell.
At the same time, I don't want to, I don't want to exhaust everybody on that. So I'm coming up with more things that we can diversify the pack, so to speak.
Guys, Dummy is back.
And
you said Dummy the other day.
I mean, it sprinkles itself in.
It's there.
I don't want to lean on it, but
that's a t-shirt.
Maybe.
Yeah,
maybe. There's possibly a Whose Game Is It shirt coming out that I'm working on. There's a couple other things that I'm trying to do. I try to design. Well, then again, I don't know, because half the time there's shirts coming out and I'm like, oh, I didn't even know I had that. I didn't even know that was there. But like the core shirts that I wear on TV, like I design most of that stuff. Like I'll go in Photoshop and hey, let's do this and this, and I'll send it to them. They might spruce it up.
LA Knight with the Photoshop skills.
Oh man, I'm a do-it-yourself kind of guy.
You are.
I learned how to do that stuff a long time ago. Look, I can't like do Illustrator or like create things. I have a terrible visual imagination, but like if I know, okay, I want this, let me grab this and this. I know at least. If I don't know, I can go get a tutorial. I know how to do the stuff on Photoshop.
I remember like drawing something out on a piece of paper, taking a picture of it and sending it to my graphic designer and being like, I know this is a terrible, crude design, but here's what I think.
I've done that with my boots. So I wanted my boots based on Jordan 11s. So I basically just put paper.
Are these Jordan 11s?
No, these are Jordan 1s. Okay. But my boots are based on the, come on.
I'm not a
he's not sure. It's okay. It's fine.
They're great. They're
no, these are Jordan 1s. But no, the Jordan 11s have like the patent leather around them.
Yes.
Which my draw to those when they came out in 95, I was like, they kind of remind me of like Bret Hart's wrestling boots. That's kind of cool. I think they were kind of like wrestling bootish basketball shoes because of the patent leather. So I was like, why don't I get my boots to look like those shoes? So I had a picture of the shoe and I just traced over it and then like added like a little bit of boot and I started drawing all the stuff and I was like, I want this here and this here and this here. And I took a picture of it and sent it to the boot maker and he's like, okay, yeah, I can make that. I'm like, cool. So, I mean, yeah, it's just coming up with these little amalgamations of like, how can I piece this and this together? It's a weird business because, I mean, it's not like you just go to the wrestling boot store.
Right.
And, so it's like, you got to find these people and, hey, can you make this? No. All right, on to the next. Can you make this? No. All right, how about you, buddy? Okay, cool. It's going to take how long? 3 months? No, not you. You? 8 weeks? I can live with that. Okay. So it's kind of screwy finding it. You're switching gear people all the time. It's
true or false? You know all the words to John Cena's entrance theme.
No, that's false.
Because you dropped that in a promo.
Wait, well, okay. So are we talking Dr. Thugonomics one?
Oh,
Or are we
okay.
talking new school? Because
Because you dropped the Doctor of Thugonomics.
Yeah.
You dropped a random line that nobody picked up on until like days later, except for John Cena, who's standing there in the ring going,
yeah, you know what though? I almost wonder if Roman did too, because almost his look was almost kind of like, wait a minute. But yeah, and what timing there on that one? Because there was, I had that line stuck in there for when Cena was around, but for whatever reason, when I used it, it just kind of, it was one of those where it was in my back pocket. Like I didn't plan to use it there, but it was like, all right, well, if this fits, cool. And then it just came out and I was like, oh, I'm so glad Cena's standing right here. But yeah, I only know that one because it stuck with me. I think it just came up randomly while I was working out one day and I heard that line and I was like, that's a pretty good line. So
I mean, the fact that you dropped it there with Cena standing behind you, Cena knew exactly what you were doing too. That was such a cool moment. What were the conversations with John like backstage before you went out there?
Like that particular time or just in general?
Any of the times.
Man, you know what? That is one of the easiest guys to work with. Everything's simple. Everything is, there's not any overcomplicated thought process. It's just kind of like, hey, look, we're going to go out there. We're going to do our thing. It's going to be this. Cool. Yeah. Great. Wonderful. But beyond that, super easy to talk to, super cool, super nice. My girlfriend was backstage at Fastlane, and he was like, it wasn't like she wanted to meet him. Hey, can I meet? He was like, can I meet her? And I'm like, yes, yeah, absolutely. And she was like thrilled that he like wanted to meet because he saw her pass by when she was going to the bathroom or whatever. And so stuff like that. Like he's just super nice and cool. And like I wanted to pull him aside and just ask him a couple things, and more than willing to give me the time and any kind of words that he could give me to kind of direct me one way or the other or anything like that. So just awesome dude.
Your promos have always been on point, but I feel like you going toe to toe with The Miz stepped it up just a little bit.
Yeah.
Like you guys were.
Well, and Miz was really bringing it to the point where like I remember couple guys in the back just being like, wow, I feel like this is like the best work Miz has done in a while. Coincidentally, I felt like it was some of the worst work I'd done in a while. So, God, I hate pulling the curtain back a lot, but
Just a little bit.
I'm not a good planner. I like to be off the cuff, and I like to kind of just listen and react. But sometimes in these scenarios, when you're doing this, you have to plan a little bit more, just because there's so many moving parts and things like that, and people want to know where you're going and whatever. But in the past, other places I've worked, it's just kind of, all right, well, we're going to go out there. We're going to generally talk about this. Okay, cool. I'll say some stuff. They'll listen to me, or react and go back and forth. And in this case, it was like, now I had kind of like planned, canned stuff, but it's like, I don't know, whatever I'm thinking or saying at like 3:00 is not going to be the same stuff at 8:00. And so where I should have probably just dropped some of that stuff and just listened and reacted and just shot back that way, it was like, I got to keep this stuff because we got time. We got I got to hit the time and they're expecting this. And so some of that I was just kind of like, this just doesn't feel like my best. And some of it's that, but that's also, I think, a bit of the process and still adapting, because I'm still that old school, let's go out and call it out there. Let's go out there and do it on the fly. And let's just kind of, I'm going to listen and react. I don't want to know, and I don't want you to know, because I want it to be fresh. I want it to be real. Like, I don't want you to already know what I'm going to say, because then it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to react. No. Let it be real. And then that way I can really digest what you're saying to me, and then just bring it back. So, but yeah, but at the same time, I think that feud in general, rivalry, whatever you want to call it. Some people hate the word feud. So, that in general, though, I think helped elevate us both in certain ways, because I think it brought out a passion in him, because I think there are similarities between us, even though I think we're different, but we have some similarities to us. He was doing some great work. I feel like I was doing some great work, and at the same time, it was kind of like showing a little bit of adversity, because for so long, like I said, I was floundering and I wasn't doing much. And now it's like all of a sudden now there's a little bit of elevation. So, okay, let's show a little bit of adversity. Let's show here's the guy who is established. He's been there for a while. At the same time, I'm going to get under his skin. He's going to get under my skin a little bit. But at the end of the day, I'm going to kick his ass. And so that's really what it comes down to. So as long as that happens, we accomplish that, then we're good.
I loved seeing people digging up all of your old acting work.
It's hot
Right?
in here, by the way.
It is?
I got to get this jacket
Oh my!
out of here.
Just bring the guns out. That's what we're doing here.
Oh my God!
I mean, that's a
sweating.
this
I'm
was just-
ruining the shot.
This was just an excuse to take your jacket off. I'm
Don't
sure.
worry, I'm not ruining the shot that bad. It's okay. Just get rid of that. Scoot me back up where I was. I assume I'm back in the right spot. I don't know.
I think it looks good. Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Everyone digging up your old acting work, I thought was fantastic. I played in a similar space for a long time, so I know what people will tag me when they saw me in various things. People finding
Hit marks and everything. It is toasty.
people
All right, go ahead.
finding you in commercials.
Take
And,
my pants off in a minute. Go ahead. Sorry, I keep
okay,
cutting.
wow, this is going to turn into a completely different interview.
I mean, yeah.
People finding you in old commercials and guest spots you did. Was your dream ever to be an actor?
No. It was basically just kind of wrestling was always the thing. At the same time, I'm thinking, well, if for some reason that happens first, I don't know. I was like, I'll give that a shot anyway. And it was kind of like,
And you're living in the right city for it at that time.
right. So, well, although it actually started in, well, hold on. So I moved to LA for the first time in 2006. God, did that go bad. Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong, and I only lasted maybe 4 months or so. But while I was out here, I did a lot of extra work, background work, stuff like that. So like in the background of like Grey's Anatomy, you'll see me walking around or some other stuff.
Has
like
anyone
that.
found this yet?
Yeah. My I don't know how. My cousin found it like months after it came out, and I'm like, how? Like literally, I'm just in. Although everybody else is kind of like in the hospital, like walking fast. I made sure to just kind of like stroll by slowly, looking at my thing to maximize my screen time. You know, I'm really checking my chart. But I'm still like it was 2-3 seconds. I'm like, how did you catch that? But somehow she got it. And after that, when I moved back to Cincinnati, where I'd started wrestling, and I'm broke, just things are going terribly. I get back there and I'm like, well, what if I just look up talent agencies in the, like when we still had the yellow books. And so I did that in the phone book, and everyone that had a 513 area code, I called them.
I had a talent agent in Cincinnati.
Oh, really?
I was with Heyman.
I know Heyman.
Wow.
I knew, but I didn't go. I called
Not
Heyman.
Paul.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Different thing.
Yeah.
I called Heyman Talent.
Wow.
But I ended up with. Oh my God! I can't believe I can't even remember the names now. I remember the guy, Peter Kondopoulos, he ran it, but I can't remember what the hell the actual talent agency was called now. But anyway, I called this place. Guy picks up the phone with an accent. It's like a kind of a, I don't know if it's like a British accent or what, something like that, but some sort of European accent. And he's like, well, what are you doing today? And I kind of gave him a description of myself and whatnot. And he was like, well, can you get down here and take some pictures? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, okay, cool. Come down here in like 30 minutes. I came down there, took some pictures. We shot a quick little, just something. I was like slating or something. And within days, I was like a feature in it was a commercial for like a local casino resort. And I'm a massage therapist, like just chopping this lady on the back. And I got paid like $500 or something for that. I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, let's keep this going. And then I got an Aldi, the grocery store.
Yeah.
I got that commercial while I was in Cincinnati.
Did you do an Ohio lottery commercial? Because that is the pinnacle of living in Cincinnati.
No,
I was in the background of an Ohio lottery commercial. I did a Buffalo Wings and Rings commercial. I played a dad, and I was like, I don't feel like I'm a dad. I am now, but I wasn't at the time.
Oh yeah, I was 26 or 27, and they cast me as a dad for like Cincinnati Hospital, and I'm like, Dad, I'm too young for this.
I had in that commercial, I
feel like I'm too young for that now, but I mean that's ridiculous.
I have a kid, and I feel like I'm too young for it.
See, there you go.
In that commercial, I had an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old, and I'm like, this is. And I actually looked at them. I'm like, you could be my children.
But I always had an old face, so that was kind of the key. Like,
but your face it's been the same for like 20 years. I mean that in the best possible way.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. I caught up to my age. So like when I was in ninth grade, I remember I was delivering papers, and I remember some of my people, oh, you're graduating this year. I'm like, no, I got 3 years to go still. But I had that older face. When I was 18, I would go out and buy beer and liquor for my friends without an ID because I dressed older, I looked older. I would go in, they'd be like, I'd be like, oh, I don't have my ID. I'm sorry, my birthday it's November 1st, 1977 or something. And they'd be like, okay, yeah, fine. Until my mom worked at the bank, and she saw my debit card, said that I was at the liquor store. And so she promptly called them and let them know.
Wow.
So yeah.
Come on, Mom.
Yeah, she ratted me out. But yeah, so what the hell were we just talking about? I got completely lost and went on a tangent about my mom ratting me out.
That was a fantastic story. What's something you auditioned for here in LA?
Everything. I was almost the Brawny Man. I was this close to being the Brawny Man. I went and did fittings. It was me and one other guy. And when I got there, the fitting was terrible.
You're talking about the paper towel?
Yes. They I don't know if you noticed, but in the last, it was maybe about 7 years ago or so, they changed the look of the guy on the actual packaging. And you only see him from here down. But I know that damn chin because it was me and the other guy. I know his chin. And so we got to the fitting. We were on a veil, all that stuff. These are all industry terms, And I was right there. And when I got to the fitting, none of the stuff fit. The pants were too small. The shirt was too small. They had a couple different options.
You were just
none
too
of them
big.
fit right. I guess. I don't know. I mean, the other dude was decently sized guy. He was a little skinnier. I don't know. Brawny man. You can't have a skinny brawny man.
Brawny Man's supposed to be like Paul Bunyan.
Right.
Like,
but he's got this big ass chin though. Like I think that's really what won him. When you see this down, I've got an okay chin and jaw, but this dude had he was like Jaws from 007. So yeah, that was probably the closest one I got.
was there any like big movie roles that you were close to getting, or you were read for?
Never anything like that. I mean, I did the Brooklyn Nine-Nine thing, which seemed like it was going to be a bigger thing. I had a name. You never hear that. I was Mario, and I was getting married and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, this is going to be great.
Yeah.
I got my own trailer. I'm like, this is amazing. And then I get there, and they're like, oh, you don't have any lines. You're just kind of like facially reacting. And then when you watch the show, I'm there for like 3 seconds.
But then it's funny on the flip side, because I've done a background work in commercials. The things you don't think are going to be big deals, you end up being in them a bunch. And then on the flip side, the stuff where you're there for 2 days, you're barely in the movie.
Yeah.
Or you're barely in the TV show.
Well, and it's weird. I mean, with the acting thing, like I said, that was kind of just like, for me, the weird thing with wrestling, and particularly WWE, if you can make a name for yourself outside of there, my God, do they love you. And so my thought was, well, damn, if I can't get in this door, because I was trying to knock on that door for so long, if I can get big somewhere else and get noticed somewhere else, maybe finally that'll be my key in. And so that was really my main motivation for doing acting, was just, okay, let me do this so that now they can come and kiss my ass. And
in a good way.
Whatever, in whatever way, just in a way where it's like, oh yeah, come on in. And so, well, yeah, in a good way.
Not kiss my ass.
Not kiss my ass. I'm not doing, well, maybe, I don't know, if they started paying me, billions of dollars or something, I might be like, I don't need to wrestle anymore. But at the same time, like, I always wanted to be in the ring again, in a top-notch level. And for me, there's nowhere else to be but WWE. And again, even when I'm in there, it's not just to be there, it's to be at the top of that thing. And so for me, I'm just like, all right, the acting thing wasn't necessarily a dream or anything that I was aspiring or looking to do. If it happens, cool, great. That's fantastic. I don't have to take bumps anymore. Cool. But at the same time, for me, it's like I was doing that stuff to try and get more notoriety, to get myself in the door. It didn't work. I just, had to grind away, and it was wrestling that got me into wrestling. But still, I was trying to just hit every possible opportunity and avenue. That's actually why I ended up on The Hero with The Rock, which 3 people watched. I did not ever want to do reality. I never wanted to be in reality TV. For me, that it was not something I wanted to do. It was not something that was attractive to me. But I was thinking to myself, if I'm on a show with The Rock, maybe there's some way I can like form a relationship, or any Steve Austin, somebody, whoever would have a show, but here he's got a visible show. I'm like, maybe then that's my way in. And a lot of people think that that's why I got signed the first time. But incidentally enough, before we even shot that show, I had I think I flew to do the show in Panama February 17th of 2013. We had a tryout February 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in Tampa, and I was already told I was going to be signed then, but we kept it hush until I went there in July of 2013 to open the PC, the Performance Center for the uninitiated. So my initial plan, I think most people think that's what happened, is I got signed because of being on The Hero, but it actually just, a bunch of stuff started to happen at the same time.
I think a lot of people also don't realize or don't know that you also had a chance to go back to WWE in 2016, 2017, 2018. Yep. Was there ever any regret?
Yes. Yeah, a lot of it. I had overstayed my welcome. You know what? It wasn't overstay my welcome, but I had overstayed bad booking. I'd overstayed misuse. I'd overstayed multiple regime changes where I was. Yeah. And so with that being the case, it was just like, man, it was like start, stop. And then when they did throw me the bone and gave me the title, it was like they still didn't really feature me as like the main event. And I'm like, well, what is this? This is like consolation prize or something. And at that point, I'm just like, all right, I have to leave. I have to go. But the only reason I was staying was because I'd been broke for so damn long, and I'm now making good money for the first time. I'd never seen money like this before. And so I'm just like, I can't pass this up. I need this at least for 2 or 3 years before I can go and take the risk in my mind from my first time around, that is going back to WWE. And for what I was promised was not, hey, you're going straight to NXT TV. It was, we're going to bring you into the PC and then you prove yourself. And that's because I left with heat the first time. So understandably so, I guess, to a degree, but at the same time, I'm thinking like, I'm on TV, I'm ready-made. I've proven in other places, I know how to do TV. I know how to do this stuff. Now, look, WWE is always different from other places. It's a whole other level as far as like TV production and all that stuff. But, not to toot my own horn, but if you look at what I would do on Impact or whatever else, I think that I knew how to work TV above average from most of the people that were there. I know how to work the cameras, but also interact with the crowd in the house and stuff like that. And where I think a lot of people struggle with that, especially guys who come from the indies because they want to go to the crowd and ignore the camera. Or some people only do the camera and then they never, look at the crowd or any of that stuff. So it's just finding those balances and stuff like that. So I'm just like, how am I only going to the PC? But again, it was because just we want to make sure you're a team player, this kind of stuff and whatnot. So finally, when I did make the jump over, there was a little bit of, not necessarily negotiation, but it was just kind of like, all right, like, I knew I was going to have to take a pay cut coming in, but I was willing to take the pay cut on the bet that I can turn it into much more because I had hit the ceiling basically in Impact. I had an awesome time at NWA for that little bit that we were able to do it before the pandemic hit. But I knew that I needed to be, although I'm going to tell you, during the pandemic, 2020, I remember having the conversation with my girlfriend and just being like, I got to accept that this thing's just over. And like, nobody's taking me now at 37 or whatever it was at the time. And I just got to make whatever money I can in any of these other companies. And I had been given Triple H's email and his phone number just before the pandemic started. And I was like, well, what am I going to do with this? I have no relationship with this guy. Like, I mean, like we knew of each other and like I had spoken to him like once or twice the first time I was at NXT, but like I didn't have a relationship where it was like I could just hit him up.
Yeah.
And so my relationship was with talent relations, and I'm like, well, I'm probably going to get heat if I go over their heads, so I'm just not going to mess with it. But then when I was at the point where I'm like, well, this is, this ride's probably over, I was like, well, screw heat. Who gives a shit about heat? I'm messaging. So I was just like, hey, look, this is what I've been doing for the last year. Here's pictures, here's videos, whatever. And then I just let talent relations know, hey, look, by the way, I sent this email, whatever, just giving you a heads up. And then that's where it was just kind of like, well, we got to talk about some things, whatever.
Did Triple H email you back?
No. So we went through the
proper channels.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I have to imagine that maybe I got the attention. I don't know, or who knows? Maybe he didn't even see it, and it was just me letting TR know that, hey, you know, I did this, and then us kind of having the back and forth of, you know, it's been 3 years of start and stop, and like you said you were coming, then you weren't, then you were, then you weren't, and I'm like, I understand that there were personal reasons for this, that, whatever. I needed to take the money, but now I'm ready to take the bet. I need to do it now. If I'm ever going to do it, I got to do it now. And so they seem to be kind of appreciative of my approach and my attitude in that regard. And when we came in, I guess head writer at NXT, Johnny Russo, seemed to be familiar with my stuff that I'd done and had seemed more than willing, very actually, dare I say, a little bit excited at the idea of like being able to use me because he was familiar with my stuff. Like I came in and had my first meeting with Road Dogg, sent me a text message a few days before I got in, and they wanted to meet with me. It was me and Road Dogg and Johnny Russo, and we sat down in a room, and that was immensely helpful because I'm a quiet guy for the most part. I know it shocks people, but like, especially if I don't know people, and for me to be able to just sit down with those guys and just sit and bullshit, but also kind of talk about the creative direction, it just made me so much more relaxed, and I didn't feel like I was fighting the system coming in from day one, which is what it felt like the first time around.
Yeah.
And it's tough to not still get in that mindset just being in this business at all. Like I'm always feeling like I'm fighting the system. But that helped really ease a lot of things there where I'm like, okay, I feel wanted. The first time around, I was not wanted at all. And so there was a lot of times where I'm like, why am I here? But at the same time, I'm like, well, I'm going to keep fighting to do this. I'm going to make them want me. And I think I made a lot of people want me, but not the main guy who was giving the reports.
Yeah.
So that helped a lot. And so we were able to come into NXT and I could just roll in and just be comfortable and do my thing. God, I just got lost because I don't know where the hell we were coming from or where we were going.
You're the definition of if you give me an inch, I'll take a mile. Like, just give me an opportunity. I did not mean it like that.
Yeah.
I have kept you here far too long, by the
You
way.
have.
I feel like we're just
getting
going.
taking advantage of my niceness.
We're just getting going,
Yeah.
but we're going to wrap it up here. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
I was supposed to be 30 minutes. And what is this? I just found a little.
Oh, look at
know
that.
what is.
I will wrap up with the same question I've asked you at the end of every other conversation, because gratitude is so important to me, and perhaps your answers have changed.
I don't believe in that stuff.
That's not true.
That's not
What are 3 things in your life that you're grateful for right now?
I feel like I give you the same answers.
No,
every
you've
time.
given me different answers every time.
Have I really?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm sure you will again. But by the way, thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for
I shouldn't
everything.
even be here right now. Can I just tell a secret right now? It's New Year's Eve as we're doing this right now, today. Sorry, he's very disappointed that I said that.
Sorry,
right
Corey.
It is New Year's Eve as we're doing this today. I'm pulling the curtain back. Sorry, guys. I told him I was very busy, and he was like, please. And I said, I can't. I'm very busy. He said, please. I said, I can't. He said, I'll pay you a lot of money. I said, okay, fine, I'll be there. No, that part's a lie.
Most of that's a lie.
No, it's a very busy day today. I'm about to be hosting a party tonight. Shh.
You host a great party, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. Are you going to make it?
I'm going to try. It's very
He's got a
difficult.
baby.
7-month-old little girl.
I know. What do you do in that scenario?
It's tough missing bath time.
Yeah.
That's
I get that.
Yeah, I do bath time every night.
I hate leaving my puppies, so I get that. I got
It's
2
like
little
that,
dogs.
except it's a human.
It's different. Yeah. Yeah, it's different. But for me, they're like my little children.
Yeah. Herman. What's the other one's name? I've only met Herman.
Reese. Yeah. Herman's he's a big ball of love, and
He's the
Reese,
best.
she's very scared, but once you like get into her good graces, oh, she's the cuddliest little, like, sweet little eyed puppy ever. Like, she can't get close enough to you. So what am I grateful for? That's where we've gone. I don't know. I'm grateful to be in LA right now. That's kind of cool because who would have expected? We got to end the holiday tour here.
LA and LA.
Yeah.
Does
that's
LA
right.
stand for something?
Why you gotta keep asking silly questions? I'm talking about what I'm grateful for right now. So anyway, grateful number 1. Grateful to be in LA, and especially at this time of the year, because I haven't been able to be here at this time of year at least 3 years, if not longer. Yeah, 3 years. And I haven't hosted a party in 4 years. So I'm excited to do that. I'm grateful for tonight's party. How about that? New Year's Eve celebrating, everybody. Pulling the curtain back. They're both angry at me for doing that because this ain't coming out for 2 weeks or however long. I don't know when it's coming out. Anyway. What else am I grateful for? I'm grateful for my health. I'm in pretty damn good health. I'm banged up and busted up. We had street fights and cage matches and all kinds of stuff on this tour. This business puts a lot of wear and tear on your body, but I do my damnedest to take care of it and make sure that I'm in tip-top, at least as close as I can be, and make sure that I'm not crippled and hobbling around everywhere I go. So grateful for being in LA, grateful for tonight's shenanigans and a little shindig that we're going to put on, and grateful for my health and the shape that I'm in.
So you've said health every time, but the other two, they've always been interchangeable.
Oh, look at that.
Appreciate you.
Well, should I throw in 3, 4, and 5? Or I'm sorry, 4, 5, and 6?
Sure.
No, I don't want to.
The dogs, the girlfriend.
All of it.
F3 energy, it's all great.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Good to see you.